Okay, welcome everyone to a new episode of Technique Tuesday, where every week we're gonna break down the lost art and science of training technique for one specific exercise. This week we're gonna be looking at how to use the skull crusher to maximize triceps development. As the name implies, the triceps has three heads: a lateral or outer head, a medial head that runs down the middle, and a long head that sits on the inside of the arm and really beefs up the appearance of arm mass from the back and when doing biceps poses. Now, I would argue that when it comes to the overall mass of the triceps as a whole, the long head may be the most essential for creating that overall appearance of arm size. So the primary function of all three heads is elbow extension, basically straightening your elbow out, since all three heads cross the elbow joint. However, the long head also crosses the shoulder joint, and as such can assist with shoulder extension. This is why when you do exercises like lat pullovers, you'll often feel a pump in the back of your triceps as well as in your lats. Now, this has a few important training implications. Dr. Brad Schoenfeld has previously argued that because the long head will be more stretched in shoulder flexion, exercises with the arms more overhead will target the long head in a greater position of stretch. Other research has shown that 90 degrees of shoulder flexion may be the sweet spot for optimizing muscle activity of the long head. And as you can see with the skull crusher, we're looking at just about 90 degrees of shoulder flexion. Perfect for hitting all three heads, but especially the long head. Now, before we get too deep into this movement, I think I should say that to really make the most of your triceps training in general, I would recommend including three types of exercises. One where your arm is more overhead, such as in an overhead cable extension or skull crusher. One where your arm is down at your sides, such as a tricep press down. And a third where your arm is back behind your torso, such as a kickback. And that way you'll hit all three heads from different angles, and the long head in particular at various muscle lengths. Okay, back to the skull crusher. So you want to load the bar with moderate weight, somewhere in the 8 to 20 rep zone, to avoid overtaxing the soft tissues of the elbow. You have the option of using the straight bar. However, I really prefer the easy bar here because the semi-pronated grip almost always puts less strain on the wrists. You want to position the bar at the top end of the bench and pick it up with a shoulder width grip using your lats to pull the bar up overhead. You can hoist the bar up from your lap, but if you can't pick it up from overhead off the bench, that's an indication that the weight may be too heavy. Now, another excellent option is the floor skull crusher. Now, one advantage here is that you'll be able to load a bit more heavily since the starting position will be a bit higher and you don't need to worry about dropping the bar off the bench if you do happen to fail a rep. It also puts a check on your range of motion since each rep will touch the floor behind you, so you can ensure that each and every rep is exactly the same, preventing progressive cheating and ensuring progressive overload. But not everyone wants to lie on the gym floor, so we'll be doing them on the bench. Now, similar to the bench press, before you begin the first rep, you want to ensure that your shoulder blades are retracted and depressed to enforce upper body tightness and shoulder stability. You want to push yourself back on the bench so that your head is slightly off the top end, which will allow you to more easily clear your head on the way down. You want to initiate the first rep by moving the bar back over your face, which will help pull tension into the long head and maintain constant tension throughout the range of motion. One 2017 study found that training in the mid-range of motion, keeping constant tension on the triceps, led to nearly twice as much triceps hypertrophy than training through the full range, with tension being lost at the top. Now, these results could be in part due to differences in relative loading between the groups. However, as pointed out by Greg Nuckols in the Mass Research Review, a nearly twofold larger increase really jumps off the page, limitations aside. So for this reason, we're going to be starting each rep with the bar slightly back, while maintaining a slight bend in the elbow at the top of each rep to help keep constant tension on the triceps without cutting the range of motion too short. You want to begin the eccentric by lowering the weight back in an arc rather than straight down to your forehead, which will increase overload on the triceps by increasing torque at the elbow joint. And when viewed from the front on, your elbows should be comfortably tucked in and locked into place, so they shouldn't be excessively flaring out or in as you extend the elbow, although depending on your specific skeleton, some degree of flare may be necessary. Go as low as your mobility will comfortably allow, but as a minimum standard, your forearms and biceps should be making contact at the bottom of the eccentric. Initiate the concentric by squeezing your triceps to move the weight up and slightly forward while pressing the middle of your hand into the bar. Your shoulders should stay reasonably locked into place during the concentric, as we want movement of the bar to come from pure elbow extension, not shoulder extension. Excessive movement at the shoulder will just get the lats and pecs more involved, reducing triceps activation. So the most common error that I see here, other than just going too heavy, is dropping the weight down to the forehead rather than lowering it back in an arc, which, as I already said, decreases tension on the triceps by reducing torque at the elbow. Also, more people seem to experience elbow pain when lowering the bar down to the forehead, and of course, if you do happen to drop the weight or go too far down, well, you'll actually crush your skull, which, contrary to the name, isn't an ideal way to perform the exercise. Now, another really common error is having too much movement at the shoulder. This usually stems from just going too heavy, because movement at the shoulder will get other muscles involved, again reducing overload on the actual triceps. I want to quickly mention the dumbbell skull crusher as an alternative here, since you can train each side individually, which can help prevent strength and size asymmetries, and possibly help get your shoulder into a more comfortable position when it comes to internal or external rotation, and really figure out what position gets your triceps firing the best. However, the barbell variation may allow for more steady and incremental load increases from week to week, and a more consistent technique pattern as well. And as I said, in addition to horizontal pressing, I think it's best to hit the triceps with the shoulder in various positions to optimize overall development of all three heads. And as always, you're going to want to keep technique at the forefront by controlling the negative and maintaining a mind-muscle connection with the muscle you're actually trying to target. Now, I know I'm going to be uploading this one on Christmas, so I hope that everyone's having a great holiday so far. As a Christmas gift to me, what you can do is go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, give this video a like, especially if you've been benefiting from the series so far. And I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna extend the sale that I've been doing on my 8-week arm training program. That's currently 30% off, and I'm gonna leave it at 30% off for the next week. So if you're looking to take your arm game up a notch, you can grab this program for $13.99 on my website. So thank you once again, guys, so much for watching. Don't forget to leave me that like as my Christmas gift. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you check out the last video on bicep training, and I'll see you guys all here in the next video.